What's up, guys? Welcome back for another episode of Tech Vitamins, and today I want to prescribe to you HTC Status. It's another Android device that hit the market actually 6 months ago, so I may be a little bit too late on this review, but I wanted to take the opportunity anyways to tell you what I think about the phone and how it's been working so far. This is actually a phone that I convinced my mother to get. She's on the at&t network. It was due for an upgrade, and believe it or not, this phone is now offered for free. Initially it was $50 with a 2-year contract, or a customer coming back and re-signing a contract, but now it's offered for free. And it's one of, I believe, 3 or 4 Android devices that are offered for free right now. Quickly, let me just show you what's in the box. It comes with a cool small box with some fun graphics. Nothing special about the box, but it does come with a charger. You have your nice white looking HTC charger. Useful thing is that you can both use the USB for plugging into your computer and transferring files, as well as plugging into this AC adapter and then put it in the wall. So it's common stuff, but it's something you would expect from HTC. But let's get into the phone and the hardware. So let me turn it on real quick, and we'll go ahead and get started. In terms of the phone itself, the way the hardware looks, you notice you have this little curvature on the phone, to bring up the keyboard, or I guess to bring up the screen to the user, depending on how you look at it, depending on how you hold it. But kind of reminds me of the first T-Mobile phones that came out, the G1s, or the next generation phone after that. But it's a good look for this. Looking at the casing, we got the chrome speaker grill up there, the mic. We got our dedicated volume rocker right here. It's kind of stiff actually. It's a little bit confusing sometimes. You don't even think you're pressing it, but you are. So it's definitely something that could improve. We got our USB charger right here. Of course, we got the headphone jack at the top. And on the other side, there's actually nothing there. You see we got the speakers right there. Of course, we got our 5 megapixel camera. We'll get into that a little bit later in this review. And we got an LED flash. And surprisingly, this phone comes with a front camera as well, which we'll get into also. But one thing I don't like about the casing is the way you get the back and off for the battery. The directions say that you should just be able to basically do with 2 thumbs apply and slide, but it's just not happening. So the best way to really get it off is to just grip it between 2 hands, push on the bottom, make sure your phone's off at that point, and then it comes off. So let's take a look at what's on the inside. We got our battery, which is a tiny battery, compared to most phones, especially on the Android device, because Android devices are gonna bog down your battery juice a lot, especially if you're running a lot of applications. But this is a 1250 milliamp battery. It's not going to be a long-lasting battery by any means, but again, it depends on how many applications you use at once. And for my mother, she's not a big smartphone user. She may use the GPS every once in a while, or check her email maybe. It's mostly just for talking, looking at internet, maybe a video or 2 here and there. So it'll last her about a day. But if you're a teenager and you're getting on Facebook a lot and watching a lot of digital media on the internet, this thing will probably not last you more than half a day. But anyways, let's look at the inside of the phone. We got a spring-loaded SIM card slot, as well as a spring-loaded micro SD slot. And we can talk about the storage a little bit. It comes with a 2 gigabyte micro SD card. Hard to say what type of class, if it's a class 2, 4, or a 6, but going with the low amount that it comes with originally, I would probably say it's a class 2 at best. So it's not going to have lightning fast transfer speeds. But anyways, this is a light feature phone, I would say, compared to other Android or HTC devices. But it definitely works for my mother so far, and she loves the phone. So let's put it back together and kind of take a look at the software and some of the features of this phone. So turning it on, it is running. Actually, we have to wait a second here to turn it on fully. But it's running Gingerbread, of course, just 2.3.3. And I can get into some of the technical specs right now while it's turning on. So it has a 2.6-inch wide screen. It's definitely a small screen, but it's due to the fact that you have a full QWERTY keyboard underneath it. It's about 4.4 ounces, which is definitely light. It's a light phone. In terms of the balance, it's not very well balanced. The screen top side is definitely a little bit heavier than the bottom keyboard. But it's all good. It's not a big deal. You just make sure you hold it tight. In terms of the processor, it's got the Qualcomm MSM 7227 Turbo SoC chip. It's running 800 megahertz, so it's definitely a little bit slower than most HTC phones, which you would find at least a gigahertz processor, and some of the newer ones, of course, they're running dual cores. And this one is going to be running the Adreno, I guess how you pronounce it, Adreno GPU as the video processor. Of course, it's on AT&T's network. It's only 3G. It's not a 4G phone. It's got 512 megabytes of internal memory. The Wi-Fi network can take care of your 102.11, AB all the way to N. Comes with FM radio, the compass accelerometer, the proximity and ambient light sensor, which is at the top. All the, I would say, expected things you would see on an HTC phone or on an Android device. We already mentioned the port size battery at 1250 milliamps, so it's definitely going to juice this thing out if you use it a lot. But here we go, we finally turned it on. So let's take a look at the software a little bit. It's cool that you have this circle up here, and basically what you can do with it, let me turn it back on, you can either unlock it fully by dragging the circle to the top, and that brings it to the home screen, or let's turn it off again, or you can drag each one of these shortcuts into the circle. Let's say I want to launch the camera. I just hold the camera and I put it into the circle, and boom, we got the camera launched. So this is going to be a 5 megapixel camera. It does come with a flash. Let's test that out right here. I'll just take a picture of nothing in front of here. But it's definitely great, for my mom or for somebody that doesn't really care too much about their pictures, but having the 5 megapixel camera on this, can't really complain. And also the fact that you have a front camera on there. I'm not going to show you, well, let me just quickly rotate this thing around. You see me with doing the review, but it's I believe a 1.3 megapixel camera. So it's for a front-facing camera, it's about the standard size. And again, I couldn't find the spec on it exactly what megapixel it is, but we've tried to we have used it with Skype on this phone or Wi-Fi. It was definitely choppy. I think that has to do with the processing power and the memory of this phone as well, with being on the internet at the same time. So it wasn't something crisp like my HTC Thunderbolt, for example, that I'm using. But other than that, you have dual camera, so you can't really complain. As I mentioned to the Skype comment, this phone, you'll definitely have to get an app to be able to kill some of the processes going on the phone. So if you're running a lot of apps at the same time and you don't clear it out, this phone's going to get slower, and just the smoothness of it is going to get a little choppier, and it's going to run down the battery much quicker. But you currently see that I'm only seeing 3 screens here. Initially it came with 5, but I removed the last two. The last two had one of them had like a Facebook message widget, or basically the status window widget, which is cool. But one thing that sucks about that is that you're constantly signed on to Facebook, so your friends constantly think you're on. And the second one was a calendar, but I got rid of it for now, for the purpose of this review. Now mentioning Facebook, this phone actually has a dedicated Facebook button right down here. And it's actually pretty cool. What you can do is right away access your Facebook, which I actually took my account off of this so I can give it back to my mother. She does not have a Facebook account, so it doesn't really do much good for her. But what this does is not only can you access your Facebook account very fast, you can also take a picture right away and post it to your status. But the cool thing is, let's say you're browsing on the internet, and I don't know, right now it goes to the home Yahoo page, but let's say I was on a review article from Engadget or something like that, and as long as I have the URL up there, I could hit the Facebook button, and you see I'm not signing the Facebook. It would take me basically right into my status page, and within that button it posts that link as an article or a video or whatever you're looking at right into your status. So it's pretty cool. It's definitely, it's advertised, it's made for Facebook. So looking at this phone further, we can access our apps, and you see that their interface for this phone is pretty cool, or at least in my opinion what HTC has done to fit everything onto the small screen. They've done a fairly good job, and you can see that by looking at the very first page. They try to fit the clock, the extra Facebook widget that comes right there, with the ability to access all the apps and so forth. And you have some of the common apps that you would want to access at all times right at the front. So they did a decent job with putting everything onto that screen. Again, we got the full QWERTY keyboard, and with some few things that are cool about this keyboard is that we can have, or it has, different shortcuts for different hardware components of this. So for example, by hitting alternate and the camera button, it takes me directly to the camera. And there's other ones. For example, there's one for settings, but I believe it doesn't actually work unless they fixed it. So if I go to alternate and spacebar, yeah, see, it just types a spacebar into your calling app, like you were to search for a number or a name. So they definitely have to fix that and correct it. And I saw that in a few other reviews that was a flaw. And this phone has been out since July, I believe, of 2011. So we're 6 months ahead. And I definitely made sure that I updated this phone for my mom when she turned it on, and I guess they did not fix that issue. A couple other things to highlight about this phone. I guess a big con of this phone is the fact that the processing power. Even if I was to record a video on this phone, which you can do, and you can do it at a 720 by 480 resolution, it's not going to be very fluid. Motion capture by it is going to be definitely choppy. But again, this phone was advertised, or was made for Facebook, so to capture fun videos for your friends and put it up there, it does the job. And again, for somebody like my mom that has been using a flip phone essentially for the last couple of years, to switch onto a smartphone and have a Android device with dual cameras, speakerphone, touchscreen, a full keyboard, the ability to have GPS, and just all the features of the Android platform, I think it's great. You can't complain about getting this phone for free for a 2-year contract. It's but again, overall, this phone is very useful for the first-time Android user, for somebody that either switched from a flip phone to an Android phone that's still looking for that full keyboard, or for a teenager that wants to stay connected with their friends through Facebook. This thing was pretty much designed for it. So it's a decent piece of hardware. You can't really complain, especially when you're now getting it for free through at&t. So again, leave comments, let me know what you guys think about this phone. If anybody's had it for a while, feel free to give me some pointers, something I should tell my mom to watch out for before she gets too happy about using this. But hopefully she'll continue to be happy with this. It's gonna be a decent product for her, and hopefully you guys got something out of this review to make a decision about either purchasing this or getting it for free on your next contract. Thanks again for watching, and come back to Tech Vitamins later for all your tech, health, and knowledge.